Endless gate entrance. So the main goal we have here is to find out who the fuck is the owner of the merecaster, right? I found a merecaster of all things inside Markaisa's tomb. I don't know why it's there, but I have a feeling I know who it belongs to, the man in the memory, cast off behind all the horrors of the valley. So we need to find that guy.
All right.
Clawing invisible fingers tug at your skin. There's a draw. They're drawing you into the portal, eager for the life that flows through your body, eager to keep you there. You have a bad feeling that once you step through this gate, there will be no way out except to find the one who opened it.
I'm making a note.
The clawing fingers release you, perhaps knowing there is nowhere for you to go. You are within the endless gate now. You are theirs. The air is chill and moist. Screams of agony permeate the darkness around you, and you sense something watching. There is no choice but to venture forth. Do we... nothing. Nothing at all.
All right.
Error. Several people have been filleted, their skins stretched into grotesque banners, faces contorted in a rictus of eternal pain. The skins flap back and forth in a wind you do not feel. Beyond them, you see a clear passage deeper into this hell. Suddenly a pair of eyes snap open. These are not flayed skins, but living people. "Kill us," it rasps. "The children brought us here, not to die, but to suffer, to feed the things that live here, slowly, eternally." "No!" The skin behind the first, partially obscured by the dark mist, shakes herself awake. Her face remains twisted in an agony even as she speaks. "Our deaths make them stronger. If you kill us, you will only die here as well. Run! Save yourselves!" Mhm. "There is only death." A third voice moans from the darkness behind the first two. Its eyes remain closed, its mouth gnarled in an ugly grimace. "Kill us or the children, or both, or neither. Does not matter. Death is all that awaits you." The three skins squeeze their eyes shut, their mouths open in wordless screams as some new agony befalls them. A malevolent presence weighs down upon you. Something watches with eager anticipation. It almost wants you to kill them. Children brought us here not to die but to suffer, to beat the things that live here, slowly, eternally. Our deaths make them stronger. If you kill us, you will only die here as well. Say, run, save yourself. So I'm getting the feeling that basically we're going to have to make a choice.
Why not?
Okay.
Trust and honesty are our bonds.
Gate cultists. And they all have the possession symbol. So,
Of course.
yeah, I'm thinking of plowing through these. Put these things out of their misery. Moderate gold tide, moderate silver tide. Your blade, why is... whatever. I can see where the gold tide comes from, but where does the silver come from here? Your blade tears through them like paper. Their screams echo through the mist. Blood spraying on the floor and your flesh. Then it's over. They are gone. Truly released, and the path before you is clear. The malevolent way in the air increases. Whatever is watching you has grown stronger.
Sure enough.
So more of them.
If you think that's best.
Another group of cultists.
To action!
Yeah, so we basically have a choice. Do
Look
we
out
fight
below!
cultists or do
Above!
we get rid of
Sideways!
these? Blue gold. Yeah, this seems to create a huge amount of gold, so we're basically... I think we're fucking ourselves over somehow, but
All right.
we might as well go all the way. I mean, killing a single one of these doesn't make much sense. Yeah, gold and silver tide gets massive increases.
Yes.
We're strengthening the evil, malevolent presence here somehow.
On it.
At last.
So the long road with multiple fights or the weak road with strengthening the enemy constantly.
Fine. On my way.
Yatawa, isn't it there? All possessed
I am the
again.
very soul of action.
Well, it's easy enough to get back here again if we have to load or if we die.
Action. Here I come.
We didn't really waste our time. On the surface, Kyotawa looks exactly the same as when you first saw her in the Danger of Four Chapel while you were investigating the murder of Folsom's protege in the underbelly. But some things have definitely changed. A feverish blotchy glow colors her skin, and her grin is entirely at your expense. Ah, it's the investigator. Good to see you again. I thought I had you fooled. A lost little girl surrounded by inhuman cannibals. He shakes her head. We managed to underestimate each other, didn't we? Was everything you told me a lie? Only the parts that I thought would incriminate me, she says with a careless shrug. But don't get flustered. I couldn't fool you. You deserved to catch me. But you didn't. She stares past you for a moment, the smile slipping from her face. I've been wondering, what would have happened if I told you the truth? If I'd confessed the moment we met? What would you have done? I don't actually know. I would have tried to talk with her and see what the fuck was going on. I don't think I would have necessarily killed her on the spot. I could have potentially turned her in. Or tried to figure out, or depending on the situation, what was going on. We'll never know, will we? An odd expression crosses her narrow face. Desperation maybe, or fear. I suppose not. All of that is behind us now. Don't you feel guilty for what you've done? Why should I? Was life in the underbelly so wonderful? What did I steal from them that was worth keeping? He's nearly shouting now. My whole life, I've had a voice in my head, whispering, shouting that I was someone else, making sacrifices to the endless gate shut her up. Why should I suffer? Why should my life be a misery so other people can live? I was wrong. You do feel guilty. Her only response is a short wheezing laugh. Oh, I don't want to attack her. I need to talk to the other guy. Are you happy here? She looks away, mouth set to an iron line. Are you happy here? I should have known I'd find you here. What? You think I've found a place of honor here? They don't trust me. None of them do. He snorts again, but she isn't smiling. Why don't they trust you? Her face tightens as though in pain. Because I'm one of them, the flesh eaters. They wanted to release me when I arrived, but Inifir stopped them somehow. Gods know why, but I'm not leaving his side. This could be Yatawa is sort of in a similar situation as the other woman. So Inifir doesn't want a repeat of that. I suppose this is our opening. This man is long-limbed and bony, unmuscled with a sunken chest, sparse hair on a scarred scalp. Rags hang from his slumping body. He wears the cast-off tattoo, but he's like no cast-off you've seen. He regards you with bloodshot eyes, fever-mad, but just as the pupils remain black and pure amid the veins, you sense something hard and sane within the madness. His words are hoarse and dangerous. You've come too far by far. There is no escape, none leave the gate. Such a pretty brother, father's loving touch on every inch of you, born to run among the sunlit lilac, Sila, singing hey lie to the gustless drum. Such splendid dreams. He scrapes at a lesion on his arm and cocks his head, listening. But you're the one who fell, aren't you? We smelled you cooking in the sky. Always a black omen, a falling star. Our Father in heaven never showers gifts. No, sows trouble, and the reaper comes to harvest. Crops we all are, till we come a cropper. Now you're wandered far away to where woe holds sway, wholly choosing when you chose woes, here beyond the gate, hate. He smirks, but you cannot tell if it's part of his madness or the hint of a method to it. The children love playmates, your nieces, nephews. They've learned wild lessons as if from father's lips. Pain. Taught with teeth, father did. And I gobbled up every scrap. Now he sneers. But he kissed you, didn't he? Perhaps that's the sharper bite. He sees the twisted merecaster in your possession and his eyes creak open. A sudden hunger and anger lurk in them. Then it is gone, but you notice he glances at the merecaster every few moments as though to assure himself it is still here. This broken merecaster, It's yours, isn't it?
Making a note.
Locked, little brother, not broken. Or better yet, disarmed, unfanged. I scoured far and burrowed deep to make this mine primed for my mind, set to blast apart the husk our father left behind.
He smirks.
Or did you think it a toy, brother? A spyglass to scry past where your eyes can see, an iron bar to pry me open, a way to wallow in the soiled oily wake I've left upon the tides. I found it, hid it, locked it. In your hand it's just ballast, nothing more.
I think you wanted it found. Why else would you hide it in a tomb that is tied so closely to you? Inifir blinks twice and swallows. He seems taken aback by your suggestion.
But why?
He asks finally, as if doubting his own mind.
Why would I want it found?
Because you want someone to look into it and understand you. Inifir scoffs.
You are not the first to flash that fly above me, thinking I'll strike. But I see the barbs hiding inside, ready to hook me at the first bite, ready to drag me out to where you can gut me, grope about inside me, grabble and garble and gobble what you want of me.
He shakes his head.
No, little brother, I'll stay down in the muck, and that bauble will stay safe in its lock.
Okay, persuasion. You're not a fish, Inifir, and I'm not an angler. We're in the same boat and we need to pull together. Yeah, oh, guarantee success. If I would have chosen not to raise my amount of investment, I could not have guaranteed success. Yeah, good investment. At least for the guy who's responsible for the dialogue. Inifir stares at you and you watch as tiny capillaries burst in his eyes, red wounds in the already bloodshot white. His raw lips form half-made words that go unspoken. Each hand scrapes the other, raising pink ridges like dunes in the sunset. At last he nods and takes the merecaster in his hands, twisting and turning it without his eyes ever leaving yours. He hands it back.
Have it. Have it all.
Darkness comes, not quite over you so much as out of you, as if your eyes were rolling back and staring into the black recess behind them, into the blacker morass of your mind, and into something blackest of all beyond that. You feel it in your marrow, your fingertips, your gut, a stab of reflective pain, an electric sensitivity, an upheaval of unwholesome chime. You're remembering a memory of a moment you never lived, a memory awash in self-loathing. Then the darkness becomes absolute. In every direction, all is grey. A dreary sky above the calm sea on which you float. The air is wet and lukewarm like the water below. The only sound is the wind's susurrus, so faint as to raise no waves. Weightless and alone, you are not deprived of sensations, but relieved of them. For a moment you bask in something like rapture, a purely physical bliss that belongs to this body, not to you. Then it is gone, replaced with a rush of terror and rage and violation.
Go away.
your mind screams at you. Without your will, against your will, your body convulses. You are no longer floating effortlessly, you are thrashing desperately, trying and not trying to drown. Concentration. Tell your mind to stop fighting. Yeah, guaranteed success. For a moment, you have control of your body and mind. You sink your claws deep and no thrashing will shake you loose entirely. But thrash your body does, and so does your mind, as a wild shrieking echoes around you.
Out, out, you can't take this from me. You won't.
It is in a fear, only seized by a wild terror he never showed in the flesh. Your body, his body, the flesh that now houses you both, twists spastically in the water. Inefir doesn't seem to be trying to drown, but caught up in his struggle against you and panicked by your presence, he doesn't seem to be able to swim or float either. Why is his mind still here? This never happened before. You slip underwater and discover you are not alone. Dozens of corpses bob around you, some just a few feet from the surface, some in the darker depths. Among them is Choi Kai-sul. It's no longer quiet. What had seemed a whisper of a breeze was in fact the drowning of the dead. Now, with the water's amplification, you can hear them distinctly.
Filth, worthless slut, traitor, nobody, monster.
Some jeer.
Shame, shame,
Moans another.
fraud.
One cries out clear as truth. Joy just weeps. Inefir's consciousness seems overwhelmed by the tumult. Your body is stopped flailing and is merely sinking. But his enervation affects you as well, and your limbs feel leaden and lifeless. Force yourself to swim toward Choi. Every stroke is a struggle. This body is already weaker than the one to which you've become accustomed, and it balks at your commands like a spent anine. Inefir is not working against you, but his will sits between your thoughts and the body's actions. Consciousness may not weigh nothing, but his is dragging you down all the same. Helplessly you gulp for air and swallow only piss-warm water. You fight harder but lose even more ground. The weak light of the world above you is already fading. As you sink deeper into the dismal sea, you can make out the shadow of something below the corpses. Something huge and ancient and awful, all teeth and hunger, which needs no words to convey how small and mean and meaningless you are. Loathing wells up, not from below but from within. Your flesh and mind resonate with that overpowering will and your body trembles. A single massive eye opens, and in a glance assays your entire self. You realize for the first time that you are naked. You see your spindly limbs and sallow, pockmarked skin, your unsexed, withered, worthless body, and you are ashamed. And then everything's gone, and there is nothing but the liminal darkness between dream and reality, life and death, madness and reason. Any fear? At first there's no reply, but you know he's in here still, thwarted, sullen. In time he answers.
Who are you? You are not like the others. You're still awake, scheming, grasping. You feel different, like him. How are you here? I've never tasted you.
He pauses briefly in his demands, and you feel his consciousness brush against you.
Who are you?
For all his frantic questioning, your brother is not yet the madman you met beyond the gate. His mind may be cracked, but it is not shattered. Hmm. I'm a cast-up like you. I came here through a merecaster to help you. Uh, right.
No one helps me. I know what you do, family. You will use me for the gate, for your wars. No, I'm no tool. I don't have to listen to you, or the dead voices, or the dark one's whispers.
He pulls away and falls silent. Inifir, are you still there? You sense his seething consciousness lurking somewhere in your mind, but he gives no response. You wait. Time passes, or doesn't. The darkness does not lighten, the silence does not lift. Inifir is out there, you can sense him, but only vaguely. Besides him and you, there is nothing here at all. Even the dead are, for the moment, speechless. You wait. Nothing changes, you are between moments, and Inifir patience appears infinite. I'll talk with him again. You wait. Yeah, I think this is over. Yeah. So apparently I fucked things up. Truth is not the way to talk with Inifir, apparently. You try to will yourself awake, but Inifir clings to the darkness, its solace and solitude, and forces your flesh back into slumber. So this is how it will be, a test of wills, but for all his resistance, Inifir's consciousness soon retreats into the darkness of your mind, whimpering, giving away. It seems he has little stomach for battle. Let's talk with him. He's not doing anything. Right. Fight Inifir. Force yourself to wake up. You're on a hard bed, beneath a coarse sheet. Voices again surround you, their words the same as the corpse curses. Slut, one chants in an endless mantra. Another mutters, shame, shame, punctuated by the slap of rawhide. But these aren't the voices from the dream, only echoes. Your eyes open and you see as never before. Nothing's added or subtracted, but certain details take on new clarity. The mold blossoming from cracked plaster, the blemishes on the weary, raddled face of the woman at your bedside, the sores weeping on another attendant's arms. You're not just in Inifir's body, you're in his misery.
The master has spoken. The master has awoken, the woman cries.
She faces others.
Let us give thanks.
They kneel and she turns back to you, eyes gleaming with the pleasure of power.
Master, thank you for redeeming us in our suffering, for revealing how, by receiving the word's cruelty, we may escape the world's bondage.
Her humility is cheap and hollow, but the others are deaf to the hypocrisy. They murmur their thanks. Marquisa.
Marquisa.
Inifir sighs her name, and you are stabbed with his feelings for her. Contempt and craving alloyed into something harder and sharper than love. So this is the woman who served as Ronos' guide. Something else nags at you, but before you can grasp it, Inifir realizes you are still in his mind and howls,
Out!
Force your way into Inifir's memories of Marquisa. Yeah, you'll do guaranteed successes wherever possible here. I'm afraid that basically if we fail here in some way, this is gonna lead to a catastrophe on the real world. You plunge deeper into Inipir's mind and remember that day when he first saw the fraud in Marquisa's eyes as she told the children that the wretchedness of their lives had meaning, not just some meaning, but the only meaning that mattered. She said it as she always had, but he understood then that, like him, she knew that the only secret of suffering was that it had no secret, no purpose. Like all Inifir's thoughts, this one is rotten, but it has rot's overpowering sweetness too, for here was a certainty. However loathsome he might be, she was worse. With that one look, Inifir understood that Marquesa had come to the same end as him, miserable among the miserable, not by fate or misfortune or fall of birth, but by choice. She came to grub for the shabbiest of vanities, not even to be first among the least, but to be second. So when the dead voices whipped up waves to drown him in self-hate, Yennefer knew he could always cling to the fact of her shameless grasping after shame, and keep from sinking into oblivion. The memory slips away, and you are back in the bedroom, seeing Marquisa all the more clearly through Yennefer's eyes. Try to focus on the nagging sensation. You try to shut out the room around you, the litanies chanted by the cultists, the sharp sounds of pain being inflicted and received. As the outside world fades, the inner one rises up. The same accusations from the dream resound inside you, not spoken but understood. A drone of humiliation and loathing and disgust that drowns out other thoughts and feelings. Still, there is something more, not the dead, not Yennefer, not you. Something like a little chime ringing inside your eye.
The ward, Yennefer cries. He's here. Our father is here.
Yennefer leaps from the bed, fully in control of your shared body. The sheer force of his exuberance sends your thoughts reeling. As adrenaline floods his flesh, you turn giddy, but it only seems to sharpen his thoughts.
Now, children, we are to be tested.
His voice is greased with unpracticed insincerity, but the others cry out in joy.
Now comes one who would steal the keys to the gate and twist the arising path of suffering into a downward spiral.
You cross the room in long, quick strides.
But we are not unready. Let us meet him in the gallery.
Rough-hewn stairs lead to an enormous room, more cavern than hall, that ends in wooden gates. The chiming of the wards is louder, faster. The chatter of the dead is incessant. But more than anything, you feel the weight of Yennefer's will and the bloody purpose to which it is put. All these years he has expected your father's return. His mind repeats over and over,
not helpless, not again, not helpless, not again.
You know what he knows, that under the floor there are Numenera, that hidden in the cracks and crevices are scythers. You see what he sees, the faithful girding themselves for battle. This is not a homecoming, it is an ambush. What exactly are you planning to do? Yennefer nods at Marquisa, who hands him a barbed spear, graven with strange geometric glyphs. He dips it in his flesh and wets its tip with blood. Your blood. His blood.
I mean to let him taste what I've lived,
Yennefer whispers. Suddenly, the gates shatter inward. Before the splintered wood and twisted iron even hit the floor, the children have fallen to their knees, sobbing, clutching their ears helpless. It is not your father who has come. Floating in the breach, wreathed in smoke, is the sorrow. For the moment it makes no move, though it gives no hint as to why.
It's not him.
Inifir whispers as though he still stands. He is as paralyzed as his followers. Markaisa acts first, pushing herself to her feet and shrieking commands.
Receive the horror, embrace it, stand, guard the master, obey the master.
The others rise uncertainly while the sorrow abides. Inifir remains stupefied. Study the sorrow. No. Inifir, listen to me. This thing, it's called the sorrow. It will kill you all if you don't act. For a moment, Inifir gives no reply. Then his voice, choked and shrill with terror, says simply,
Run, hide, we must escape.
We, a form of progress in the face of annihilation. The sorrow remains unmoving within the breach in the gateway. It makes no gesture, issues no demands. It is waiting for something, or looking for something, or pondering. There is no way to judge what passes within its mind, if it even has more than mere instinct. You feel the tides washing around you, stirred up by the sorrow's arrival. But here in Inifir's body, in his mind, you have no means to turn them to your advantage. Study the sorrow. This might be our only fucking chance. It is an object that defies scrutiny. You're certain it is the same thing you faced before, but it's different, and not just in subtle ways. Its texture and even anatomy seems altered, and indeed they continue altering before your eyes. But exactly how it is changing you cannot say, just as you cannot manage to wrap your mind around its contours. The more you look at it, the more your head aches. No, not your head. Something else, something more fundamental. Whatever it is inside you that calls, that ties and answers them, that is where the pain is. At last you break your gaze, unable to maintain it any longer. The smoke around the sorrow churns, and its alien gaze sweeps across the room with a predator's contempt for kind, but without a predator's hunger. Its patience, like its resolve, is inexhaustible and almost indifferent. The children cower as its gaze passes over them, and some cry out,
Master, save us!
But Inifir is gone, hidden somewhere in the recesses of your mind, as indifferent to their terror as he was to their praise. I'm inclined to do some kind of a form of resistance because I got the basically the advice that where Inifir flees and cowers against these things, I need to do something else. I can't go with Inifir, otherwise nothing will change. Should I throw the spear? I think the point is not to try to kill it. I don't think that's possible. The point is to make an act of resistance. Force Inifir to spring the traps. Or should I... That's probably... Force the traps. You dredge your mind until you find Inifir's consciousness, but he wrenches it away as you try to catch hold of him.
Hide, hide, hide,
he repeats, scuttling away into some dark, unthinking corner. Sorrow sweeps forward into the hallway, moving so fast you can hardly track it. It swaddles one of the children in its shifting limbs, and when it releases him, he is simply snuffed out. Not dead, but gone. Sorrow pauses above its kill and seems to read the room again, seeking without finding but implacable as ever. Throw your spear at the Sorrow. No, maybe try to say, attack, children? Goaded by your cry and Marquisa's words, a few ill-armed children stumble forward. It's obvious that they know far more about receiving pain than inflicting it. The sorrow gives no indication that it even notices their approach until one woman howls and rushes at it, brandishing a cudgel. The sorrow swivels its head toward her, and in an instant something invisible seizes her and hoists her into the air. The tides. You can feel them. Then the woman is gone, reduced to scattered limbs and smeared entrails. "In suffering transcendence!" cries Marquisa, though she herself does not attack. The other attackers give feeble cries and stumble forward. Then they too are gone. As the sorrow begins to stir again, Marquisa grabs you by the shoulder, her nails drawing blood. "Enough!" she hisses. She pulls you back and you find yourself following. She's pulled Inipir back too, it seems. As you retreat, Marquisa cries out, "Stand! Rise upon the pain!" The slaughter and that ensues behind you is strangely silent. Snuffling steps, half-hearted battle cries, smothered deaths. Marquisa hurries you through a warren of tunnels until you pass through another gate. This one made not of wood and iron, but of solid azure steel. As you pass through, the bolt seals shut behind you. The room has the faded opulence of a lost civilization. The ornate reliefs carved from the granite walls have crumbled and eroded to abstract deformities. Ancient flickering lights line the ceiling. Their humming resonates with the metal floor, and their bluish light illuminates the tarnish. In the center of the room, a silver throne rests on a dais. Unlike the floor, the throne shines as if recently polished. Tiny gleaming needles line the armrest, and halo-like rings hang about the back. Marquisa is doubled over, gasping for breath. Retching. Your own body, weak as it may be, is untroubled. Inipir's gone again, yet something lingers, like spores from his mind infecting yours. Examine the throne. As you study it, a memory bubbles up and bursts into your consciousness. We had the option there to basically just give up, but that's something we will never do. Inipir sits motionless on the throne. Marquisa adjusts dials on its back. The children gather around, like supplicants seeking an audience. "Now, be one with the master." Inipir has only an instant to ponder how he has consented to this abomination before the vastening overtakes him. The children wail, writhe and soil themselves, vomit. One staggers to her feet and drags a dagger across her throat. Another gouges out his eyes. They're hearing the voices, feeling the loathing that has festered inside Inipir. It's more than mortals can bear, it's sublime. His memory ends, his shame lingers. Marquisa rises to her feet, a bit unsteadily. She examines both you and herself, as if searching for physical evidence of the peril you've escaped. She finds none. Sorrow's violence fell upon others, who remain at its mercy beyond the vault door. "Master, tell me how I may serve, what I may endure in your cause." Hidden though Inifir may be, his contempt at this continued fraud burns in your gut like acid. Can I, I'm not quite sure what I should do here. I can try to communicate with Inifir. That usually leads to nothing. I could try to ask Markaisa what the fuck this is. I think I should know. Or Inifir should know. I'll try Inifir first. Inifir, your mind's bleeding into mine. Can you use that to give me choice remains before it's too late?
I'm starting to figure this weird place out.
You know Inifir hears you. You feel him pondering. The weight of these thoughts shifting beside your own. At last, in a low hiss, he answers,
You're a fool. If you want this burden, take it.
Then his mind stabs into yours, like a syringe, and the echo of joy that survived inside him is now inside you. He withdraws, but she remains, and it is as if a pall has settled over your consciousness. Inifir seems about to speak, but in the end he says nothing. In the recesses of your mind, you hear a faint weeping. Whatever your grief, this will surely be a better home for her. There is a new sound, almost masked by the humming of the ancient lights. It's coming from the vault door. It seems that sorrow has made its way through the children.
Coward,
Says a ghostly voice.
shame.
But they're not the ones calling to Inifir now. It is the temptation of the gate, the promise that he will outlast another day. So maybe I shouldn't use that. Yeah, I'm not sure what's the path I should take here. I'm not sure I should give myself up to this sorrow. I have no fucking idea how that works, because it seems like it defies all kinds of these barriers and limits. So for all I know, I might die with Inifir here. Coward and shame, okay. Enough with this charade, Markaisa. I know you don't believe in any of this. Markaisa frowns.
Master,
She begins before trailing off. She stares intently, perhaps reading Inifir as easily as he read her. Eventually she shakes her head.
you're wrong. There is something I've believed in all this time. If I could help you find some good in all your suffering, prove that it gave hope to others, meaning to others, if I could lighten your burden even a gram, then...
She shakes her head again.
We've all suffered in a fear. There must be something good born from it, even if only a noble lie.
Inifir's jaded senses can find no falsehood in her, and you feel him sink even further into despair as he realizes Markaisa is not the hypocrite he believed. I need to say something. You've been a good servant, Markaisa, but that seems something like I shouldn't say. Everything you've done is wasted, that's something I shouldn't say either. So, we can't escape suffering with lies. Markaisa only with understanding, or for the sake of one, you've hurt dozens, and the only thing you've made from suffering was more of it, and a heavier burden. That's true. Inifir is soft. It never wanted any of this shit. I'll go with option number 2. We can't escape suffering with lies. Markaisa only with understanding, although I'm not sure where I'm going with this. Markaisa shakes her head.
No, the more I understand the world, the more I see to hate.
Her sad, ugly face twists in a sad, ugly smile.
Sometimes, Master, I'm afraid you come to understand too much, and now you're alone in the dark truth. But thanks to that, you will shine all the brighter for the children.
For a moment, Inifir's consciousness stirs, and an image spills from his mind to yours. A lighthouse above a wild sea. His lamp drawing in these desperate storm-tossed sailors, even as cyclopean monsters circle its base, waiting, hungering, and exulting. Yeah, they're using Inifir to lure these losers. Suddenly, a huge blister forms in the vault door, glowing white. Moments later, another blister rises, and the huge ancient barrier begins to take on the look of a leper's face. That the door is yielding to the sorrow is perhaps less surprising than that it is holding at all. Indeed, it seems that the barrier has some life in it still, despite its disfigurement. There are not yet any signs of structural failure. How does the throne work?
Markaisar shrugs. It's a mystery. When you sat upon it, we shared in the ecstasy of your suffering. When the Sibyls sat upon it, they shared their dreams. Only the Harepi who assembled it for them could say how it works, and he has long since turned to dust. I know only enough to activate and amplify the device.
For the moment, the vault door still holds, though more blisters have risen and bursts across its surface. It is only a matter of time before the sorrow gains entry. Ah, right. Ooh, okay. What is the place? Marcosa gives you an odd look, as if you should know the answer, as if it is madness to ask a tourist question while death itself roams the halls, but she replies all the same.
This is the Sanctum Sanctorum, where Sibyl shared their lucid dreams with princes and peasants and popes.
He smiles faintly.
You wanted a place where you could be alone. I gave it to you.
You remember. Inifir remembers. Then you came to this retreat, more fortress than temple, hacked from granite hills, not alone, the children trailing you like chicks, but inside the promise of solitude. A false promise, like all the ones life makes. Now the door has become muddled, its alloyed ancient elements are separating. A lattice of hairline cracks appears and you hear a low moaning, as of a beast that has endured too much punishment. The dead voices cackle about vanity and futility and how all you touch turns to shit, and the others give their own message. The comfort of a familiar whip and the promise you won't perish. Sit on the throne and face the sorrow in a final ambush. You can learn more about your enemy and Inifir can redeem himself. As you step toward the throne, you involuntarily recoil in revulsion. Inifir has returned.
Never again,
Inifir hisses. Something wells up beyond what was in his memory. A sense that to sit upon the throne is to carry the dendra of war perversion a step further, spreading one's own pollution into the world. And even more than that is the fear of losing control, that once the floodgates of suffering are opened there will be no closing them again, no more quiet floating above the agony inside him.
This is the reason for your suffering, Inifir. It's a weapon to wield against our common foe.
I'm not sure what's the right thing to do in any of this, but I can't I need to force him to fucking do something. Inifir gives no answer, and you sense no agreement from him. No courageous stirring to stand against the sorrow, just confusion and a sense of resignation, that it is easier to trust in your purposes than to form purposes of his own. He lets you walk his body, yours now, to the throne and take a seat upon it. The needles prick your arms far more painfully than they should, and they hold you in place with myriad tiny barbs. But the pain passes, and when it does, you nod to Marquesa. She takes her position behind the throne and reaches for the knobs. As she does, the vault doors burst open and the sorrow enters. As the sorrow pauses, you hear the click of turning knobs and feel the obscene swelling of your thoughts. Every door in the columbarium of Inifir's mind swings open. The shame and anguish and loathing interred within stirs to life. The torment does not leave Inifir, but merely spreads outward like a rancid oil on water, lapping in ever larger waves as Marquesa raises the throne's power. The sorrow senses the attack. Its form shifts, as if to make a shield against Inifir's woes. It rushes across the room toward you, so fast, but too slow, slow enough to absorb a long lifetime of suffering. An alien shriek fills the room, or your mind, or both, and then the sorrow is gone. The throne's power fades and you go limp. Inifir returns. He rips his arms from the throne, flesh tears, and he bleeds heedlessly. He's searching for something, and then he finds it. Finds her. Marquesa lies crumbled behind the throne, her face a rictus of pain. Her eyes flick back and forth as if trying to look away from something too big to avoid. A sound comes from her. It's hardly human. She's hardly human. Just a lump of ugliness and agony. Inifir takes her in his arms, and he says aloud,
You can go.
to you or to her, but not to himself, because the last thing his mind shares with you is the certainty that he can't escape, and the sound of a voice keening,
Shame, shame.
I'm ready to learn something new.
Never has your body been a more welcome home than when returning from Inifir's mirror. Though his wretchedness lingers in your memory, you see again through your own eyes, and even this horrific place seems more wholesome than the refuge where Inifir faced the sorrow. Inifir stares at you with newfound recognition, but even as he does, you feel a dark presence stirring around you, the same one you sense in the mirror. Something has sensed your meddling and means to put an end to it. Inifir smiles, for the first time without spite.
Brother, not so little, not so young. Now you are truly flesh of my flesh.
Then he shudders as if he has taken a chill, and a shadow passes over his face. That's why you protected Kiatawa. She reminds you of Marquesa somehow, doesn't she?
I'm ready to learn something new.
Inifir says nothing, but his furtive blank glance at everything but you says enough. Inifir, you need to close the gate, now, before they take control of you. Your brother nods.
Yes, I will see if the sorrow cares to taste again the woes that flow within me.
Making a note.
Inifir seals his eyes shut and begins to howl. You feel the world about you shifting and churning. Everything grows dark and empty, save for voices almost so soft as silence itself.
starting to figure this weird place out.
Somehow, Inipir's decision to close the gate forces you back outside. Inipir is gone, there's no telling where, but the gate has closed behind you. Without the gate, the cultists have no reason to kill anymore. Or less reason, at least. You're not the only thing that has been expelled from the gate. A small pile of objects lies at your feet.
Yes. Now.
Enigmatic sphere. As you pick up the small plain obsidian sphere, it turns a frosted white and changes size to fit comfortably in the palm of your hand. Marked with fine lines in all directions, it is smooth and cool to the touch and extremely light. When you heft it around in your hand, however, you notice that its weight seems to temporarily increase as more momentum is applied to it. Impossible Blade. One glance at this weapon serves as an explanation of its name, as the blade is of an impossible thinness. A trans-dimensional energy field generated by a device in its short handle maintains the blade's structural integrity, and as such the blade can't be used when the field is not powered, as it would shatter on the slightest impact. It does relativistic damage, so it ignores resistance. Has good bonus too, meaning extra points put into this does a lot extra damage. But the damage isn't great, but there's no way to resist it. Versus this. Chance to heal does more damage, physical. Also more damage per effort, but can only put 2 extra effort points. You can put up to 4 into this. I don't actually know which is better. This is naturally better in a way, but this might be better for our tank. Anyway, I noticed quite a few level ups. You don't have
Yeah.
level ups. But you clearly do. No. Right, 14 points away. 14 points away. All important level up for win. Extra effort. Yeah. Cloak of All. All other party members gain +5 to stealth tasks, +5 to evasion, and +5 to esotery attacks. Okay. We can take healing spell. Or more cipher use. I'll take the healing spell. That's the main use we have of her. She'll heal 16 points. And skill increase. Maybe running, although we're using her on quick finger tasks. Running would be fairly good because we basically have to heal and get the fuck out quite often. Out of the way, out of the reach of enemies, maneuver in a way where we are not in harm's way. So yeah. Still, not exactly great, but she's is an actual healer now. Couldn't hope for something better. Still not good though. Maximum effort 4. I'm inclining to do anamnesis might not be a bad thing, but I'm maybe concentration 2. That would allow us to use 2 artifacts without any negatives. Although we're constantly using 2 artifacts and I give 0 shits about the negative I have from it. Maybe running or persuasion. Anamnesis. I feel like more ability to use your intellect points is basically makes this totally worthless. But it's also sort of make persuasion worthless too. In that sense, cipher use might be a good one. Increases the character's cipher limit by 2 for each level of training. Alternatively, running. Actually, I'll take running. Why? Why take running? Because every battle I've had has basically been a situation where I need to run about using things. So this would allow me to reach those sites a bit faster. And it's not something I can't spend points to achieve the same thing. That's why cipher use is also very attractive to me. But I don't use that many ciphers. At the same time, there's almost I can successfully avoid almost any fight at this point. It's very rare that we fight at all, so it just doesn't feel all that important. I might end up regretting it, but shit happens. We're done. Do we... anything else we want to do? I use this now. We sort of used it already. Inform the memorialists that the gate is closed. Right, we'll report that. We should get a couple of level ups out of this. I closed the gate. Hopefully the cultists will stop bothering you soon.
Truly.
Her face becomes full of life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Both the living and the dead are forever in your debt.
I'll remember that.
I regret I have nothing to give you. We do not have much in the way of personal possessions. However, there is one who might help. Ranos Kaisul. He likes to collect art relics from the alcoves outside. He would be more than happy to reward you on our behalf, I'm sure, if he has anything to give. Seek him out in the valley.
Okay. We haven't been able to actually end the quest yet.
Doing begets learning, I guess. Let's go all.
Rin
You
at
and
least
me.
has enough health now that she might actually survive a single attack from an enemy.
Yes.
So, very important to get her to another tier. I don't think she's maybe not that big of a burden if you get her into your group immediately and start getting experience.
Yes.
She's more of a burden because I got her in such a late state.
Alright, here I go.
And she's not exactly worthless now. She would more or less have more than 20 hit points and a new set of abilities and spells
Of
again.
course.
Choice thoughts jangle about in your head as you stand before this man who calls himself Ronas Kaisul. She starts with alienation and rage at this theft of her father's self, but with the fickle speed of youth her heart changes, thudding along until it reaches its ultimate conclusion, that this is how the world reworks itself and tries again. like a child kneading clay between her fingers and dreaming of all that can be. Then you're alone again in your mind. Kronos' eyes alight when he sees you return. The children of the Endless Gate have curtailed their activities, and I have no doubt it was due to your actions. He presses a device into your hand. Please take this as a token of our gratitude.
I'll remember that.
Bracer of Mighty Kalastor. Plus, plus 1 might edge, plus 1 damage per effort applied. Negative effects, minus 2 might pool. When this synth device is put on, it suffuses the wearer with physical energy flowing through the body, radiating inwards to reinforce blood flow and energy resources. The device utilizes your body's natural processes to direct this energy, so it can cause a strain on the wearer even as it heals him. You have heard whispers of a legendary glaive known as the Mighty Kalastor, not particularly skilled or smart. Kalastor's legend lives on to this day primarily because his career as a warrior spanned to the end of his days at a very ripe old age. Even as his hair fell out and his limbs turned thin and pale, Kalastor was still fighting on the front lines of some of the most famous battles of the Sega's Protectorate. Now it appears you have found at least part of the secret to his story. This would be for the fighter. 100 chins, 40 XP, praise of Mighty Kalastor. What are the negatives? Might pool reduction. I don't actually want that. He has decent edge and not that big of a might pool, so what do we want? Don't care for any of this. Running would be useful, but not that big of a deal. Not for him. Maybe issue challenge. I don't particularly care about those. It's not like these are bad things, it's just it's hard to see where the greatest benefit would be achieved. Extra effort 4, maximum effort would be 5. That I don't have that pools to really support that. Maybe I should take running. So we can guarantee that we can reach where we can reach and can use our abilities, which would be issue challenges. The bigger problem is that it might not hit. I might be able to use it once or twice in a fight if I have full intellect pool. I'll take mobility. I'm very fond of that ability. Basically the ability to be exactly where you want to be in a fight, or do your thing and move to a totally different place, where the enemy has to sacrifice maybe her full movement turn, or maybe something else if he wants to catch up with us. We'll see how that works out. I don't think it's necessarily necessary, but it's very convenient. I like that. Any other quests? Lost Shepherd. See if Eridis has done something. I can't really do that now though. Unless I drink the caustic or whatever it was, the liquid. I can't raise my intellect. Ah, that's funny. Extra effort, not well, could be a benefit to the might tasks. Shitty ability that I don't care about, or initiative or endurance. Initiative certainly is a useful thing. Yeah, I like the idea of actually being able to maneuver first in a situation like this. Not sure if it's the best possible thing to do, but I like it. Mobility and high initiative. We have two guys that can take advantage of that, but it's not enough on its own. Right. Anything else we can do here? We
I'm
need to
ready.
go to the first one's grave if
All
we
right,
want to move
Ren, you can
forward.
do this.
Yes.
Okay, are these hostile towards us? No, they don't care.
Sure.
And nothing here. I want to talk to the
If you
people
want a
up
job
here.
done right,
I don't know if we could also use the device up here now. I don't see any reason why we should avoid using that. What about Persea?
On it.
find them. Something to do.
Hmm. Nothing new. And I don't actually trust these people enough to rest here. Ooh, Thalana says you're deserters. Be proud.
Yes, we have left our post, but I do not believe we have deserted. I believe we have become aware. If the battle is endless, then our struggle means nothing. If our struggle means nothing, why should we continue to struggle?
Well, it reveals who you really are. Yeah, but you struggle just to survive too. You could just as well be talking about life. If life has no meaning, why continue to struggle? Hmm. I do want to raise that point. You could just as well be talking about life. Life has no meaning, why continue to struggle? The reason I'm hesitating on that is these are war-weary veterans. They probably are gonna just suicide themselves. At least not this guy, but the other guy who basically can't even talk about the endless battle. And because struggle reveals who you really are, is something that the people who are fighting the endless battle would say. And I don't really believe that. There are other ways to achieving that. For power, for glory. But what glory is there? No one knows anyone who fights in the endless battle. It's just a giant. They know the fight. They don't know individuals there. Uh, hmm, well, I suppose you can struggle for something greater than yourself. An ideal, perhaps. He considers your words for a time.
Had our commanders presented an ideal for us to follow, this might have been true. But we fought for money and for glory. We found no great measure of either. We will not be going back.
I'm fine with that. Right, right.
Yes.
Why, of course.
Activate the pyramid's full healing power.
Ah, that's more like it.
You run your hand over the pyramids in a pattern you discovered, except this time you keep going. The white light fades as you do, but a feeling of well-being and strength fills you, as if the light were being transferred directly to your heart. When you are fully healed, the light fades to nothing. Examine it again. The cold pyramid looms without the cradle of the white glow it once had. Sweet scent that once danced in the air can no longer be found. Still, we got
If
a
you
full
think that's
recovery.
best. Alright, here I go.
Do we have anything we need to do? I don't think so.
I'm ready.
I don't think there's anything we can do. I need to. I want to try these devices again. Maybe something's happened here.
Fair
At least the
enough.
crystal was clearly tied to Inipir somehow. Right. I don't get what this
Sure enough.
is. Maybe it's tied to the people you have in your group. Like with if you have
Sure.
correct party members, maybe the headless guy is something you can interact with, that sort of thing. Or maybe if you join the cultists, you get
Natural.
extra quests from them or things like that. So or maybe you do something. Yeah, maybe you get some of the implants from the doctor, correct ones, and
Why not?
you can do something you otherwise couldn't. So options.
Why not?
Through Inipir's eyes, you watch as he staggers across the broken land beyond the Valley of Dead Heroes. Already he is being trailed by the children. Scrow rows that will never be shaken. His feet hurt, he's becoming soft from hiding behind the gate. There are gashes on his cowls from where he slipped against shale. His breath is short and his head is spinning. But with a glance at the children behind him, he presses on. You cannot know what passes through his mind. There is no mirror. Whether it is stubbornness that drives him, or fear, or hope, or an effort to draw his bloodthirsty pack away from the valley. Perhaps it is all of these things. But what is inside the man lies hidden, just as the end of his journey is hidden, perhaps even to him.
Here comes the Boredom Slayer.
So last chance to talk with him. We need to buy something, we need to buy it now. Barrel of Indomitability. We have slot for one excess item. Heal 23 points of health would be my choice. This is practically a full heal for the entire party, so if we get fucked early, we can recover from it. It's fairly expensive though. We could also take minor upgrades for weapons. And I haven't, yeah, I was about to say I haven't had to use any of these, even these healing items. The problem is I haven't actually fought in a while, so there hasn't been much of an opportunity to use them. Yeah. I think I'll just leave it. I'm fully admitting this would be very useful potentially. At the same time though, is there a point to just buying these on the off chance that possibly maybe something happens? Maybe it's better to just hold on to your cash until you actually encounter something you do need. So yeah, can I sell something? I have the oddities in storage though, so I can turn this into quite a bit of cash. What else?
Yes.
Ready to move on. I'll see if I can get access to the... I forgot what the name of the place is. Meal of Vest. Find the first cast-off's tombs. Maybe mainly in the hopes that we'll get experience points and we might get level ups. Rather, the main cast-off might.
Let's go, all. You and me.
Main quests usually give more than 40 experience points when you complete them. Around 100, I think. The statues are all of the same person. The first cast-off, presumably. Each of them wears a different mask. Okay. Is that important? I seem to recall some kind of a premonition about masks from the guy who ate my corpse. Maybe it refers to the first cast-off. This freeze up... Freeze. I don't know how to pronounce that. This frieze appears to have been defaced. There are two figures facing each other in anger, but it's impossible to make out any more than that.
Yes.
The carvings here display two figures standing side by side on a crack overlooking a plateau with a white disc at its center. The scene is familiar. A wave of dizziness envelops you and you steady yourself against the rough stone. This does not help. The memory flows out through the stone in rumbling pulses overtaking your senses. Yes, this scene is familiar because you experienced it firsthand when you rebuilt your mind in the labyrinth, and now here the full memory awaits you. Succumb to it. The memory of that long day pours past you, cold as melting snow. You direct the first cast-off's gaze toward the resource-rich plateau where Miel Adest will one day stand. You ignore the laughter in her eyes when your own constructs turn on you and make the necessary repairs. And then, the rush of time slows as she makes her way up a moss-hung path toward you, her eyes bright behind the mask. "I have something to show you," she says. You follow her to a deactivated portal. "I've got it working. Doorway exists in two places at once, here and on the other side, once you align them." She lays her hand and forehead against the stone as though worshipping the thing. Your lip curls involuntarily, but you can't fault the results. The portal activates, answering the welling glow of the first cast-off's tattoo beneath her mask. The flood of memory slows to a trickle, leaving you back to your body. You look over at the mural. Could that be the way to open the portal? Could it? Could the way to open the portal be the way to open the portal? A bewildering array of colliding jagged edges and mangled corpses make up this frieze. It's not quite clear whether the artist was inspired, drunk, or insane. A battlefield is depicted here, that much is certain. But the amount of detail is staggering, and it isn't immediately apparent that what the artist was trying to convey. The first detail you notice is the fortress, standing out from the wall in bold relief. Many of the soldiers shown are pouring through the sundered gates, and every one of their faces shows a different emotion: elation, rage, terror. But it is the jagged edges, seemingly raised at random, that pull your attention down to the bottom right of the piece. There lies the first cast-off of the changing god, mortally wounded, dying alone as divergent realities snap shut around her like teeth. Hmm.
Of
Hmm.
course we can help. Right, Al?
I'll remember that.
Stark letters have been carved into the rock above with a steady hand. Sharp memories emerge at the sight of the masked figure in the tableau. First cast off. Countless footsteps have worn a track to and apparently into this mural. This is a gateway of some kind, but you can see no way of opening it. But Kina must not have known that the portal would be closed, else she would have said something. Whoever deactivated it must have done so recently. You look around the area. Maybe examining the environment will give you some sort of a clue. Read the epitaph. Oddly, many of the words above are completely unreadable. It's not that they're in a language you don't understand. It's truth and you recognize every letter. Every time you try to put it all together, its meaning slips from your mind. Maybe that part of the epitaph isn't meant for you. Your eyes skip to the end of the message. She serves us still. Okay, put your forehead against the door like you saw in the first doing in your memory. You lay your hands on the cold stone as the first cast-off once did, and press your forehead against the mural. The skin around your tattoo crawls, then burns, but even with your eyes clenched shut, you feel the air of the tomb stirring. Yay? And I think I'll leave things here. Open the portal. Right. To Miel Abyss.